I don't think I could have foreseen 4 months ago when I was contemplating doing TV to get into this situation, but very grateful and humble and honored that Coach Saban and the entire Alabama Crimson Tide family entrusted in me to do the job. So I don't think, like I said, I don't think I could have foreseen it 4 months ago, but today and this week, it's about doing the job and getting these players who have worked so hard for months that have put themselves in this position to play in this game to do the best job that I can do to help them.
Sports radios were distributed as you entered today. Select the channel as shown on the video board.
We'll find out Monday night, but the reality of it is, I've been doing this a long time. I'm fortunate in my career to be around really good coaches and been mentored by really good coaches. And being part of the program for the last 4 months and seeing Lane work and being around the office of game planning and working with the coaches, it's not just so foreign where I'm just coming in from the outside and trying to pick up where they left off. I've been around this thing. And so, when you start calling plays, you start calling plays, and you don't get caught up in everything that's going on outside. You focus on what's going on between the lines, and then that's the mindset I'll have.
What are some of the game week tasks that you did not have to do as a head coach that you have to kind of go back to '08 to jump into now?
Well, I think for me, what was fortunate, when I was a head coach, I was very much involved offensively. I still called plays. I did all of those game planning scenarios and those types of things. And so for me, that hasn't been the biggest difference. It's been in this last 4 months where I haven't made those final decisions that you make as a coordinator. What ultimately are you going to run in those first third and short situations? What are you going to call when you're on the goal line? What's that first call? You make suggestions when you're in my situation, throughout the week, but when you're calling those plays, you got to make those calls, and you got to trust in your preparation. You got to trust in the coaches that are around you and the input that they give you, and then you try to put the players in the best position that you can to go make their plays.
Did you make the calls in your head?
I'm going to get her, Ivan, then I'll get you. I wouldn't go with nervous. I'm excited. This is what I love to do, and I've been doing this a long time. I've been fortunate to have coached in some big games in my career. Obviously, this is another big one. These guys have earned the right to be in this game, and my mindset is just putting them in the best position to be successful.
Like a backup quarterback, you expect him to be ready. Were you making those calls?
Well, I think what was helpful, Ivan, was when Lane had initially taken that job to go to FAU and Coach and I spoke and made the decision that I would become the coordinator next season. It made the transition a little easier because I was already going down that road as far as, what next spring would look like, next fall camp, and what I wanted this offense to play out like. And so when the decision got made, it made it a little bit simpler. It wasn't just all at once. It was kind of a natural transition for me. Sorry. I've got a really good relationship with Jalen. He's a kid who loves football. He's a gym rat. He works at the game. Those are the kind of guys I like to be around. They make my job easier. And I think it's a good one. I think we've worked well together this week, and ultimately I think we'll work well, really well Monday night. Yeah, I think it was challenging prior to this, being in the analyst role, because you still get to work on the game plan side of things. You still get to work with the coaches on giving suggestions and tips when we're watching the tape. But it is frustrating as an analyst when you go out to practice and you're not coaching. That's what you love to do. But in my situation, when you're not allowed to do that, it's a lot of note taking. It's a lot of watching coaching, watching the other guys coach. And so to get this opportunity to be back on the field, I feel like I was almost like a bottled up ball of energy, where I could get back on the field and do what I love to do. And so for those guys out there that are analysts right now that have coached before, I feel for you. I understand what that is like. Well, for me, I think the biggest thing has been this was a new system for me. There's some carryover that Lane had brought with him that we had from years ago. Lane and I hadn't coached together for almost 10 years. So there was some carryover, but the reality of it is what I learned is the system in that time. And I really tried to dive into it because I wanted to be able to speak the language. I always liken it to, if you live in the States and somebody, puts you on a plane, you got to go live in France. Sooner or later, you got to start speaking French, or you're not going to be able to eat. You're not going to be able to do the things that you need to do. So I really tried to do that. I tried to learn the language, speak the language, understand the system so that I could be the best help that I could be in the role that I was in.
Was it weird at all, Steve, when Nick made the decision? Anything weird between you and Lane at that point?
No, I mean, I think Lane did a heck of a job here. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. He did a heck of a job in his 3 years. He and Coach Saban came to the decision. I didn't really have time to analyze the feelings of everybody and the situation of it. I felt like I owed it to these coaches, I owed it to these players, I owed it to our fans and everybody at Alabama to do the best job that I could do. And that's what I've been trying to do over the last week. I think the biggest thing I discovered in me is, I'm a good person. Not perfect, like none of us are. But the reality of it is I also learned that I love this game. And I love coaching football. I love being around these players. I love being around the coaches. I love all of college football. I love game day. When you get to go to that stadium, I really like to try to take it in. I think it's important that we just don't gloss over that kind of stuff. And enjoying the moment. And I think sometimes when you get in the midst of it as a head coach, you can get lost in all of that. And I'm really, this season, I've really tried to take it in and enjoy the moment and see the joy that these players get to have and see them struggle through practice and then, make those subtle changes that they were struggling on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then actually go out and do it the right way on a Saturday, and the satisfaction that they get and their position coaches get. I think those things are big. Today, as the closer we get to the game, that stuff occurs. But, like I said before, I'm embracing this more than anything. I would be remiss if I didn't exhaust myself in the preparation standpoint. Like I said, to put our players in the best position to go do the best job they can do Monday night because they've earned this. They've worked extremely hard, and I just want them to be in position to go be the best player that they can be Monday night, and that's our job as coaches to do so. Well, first of all, Brent Venables is a tremendous defensive coordinator. They do a lot defensively, schematically. They attack you. They find the things that you do well, and they try to minimize those things and take them away. They do a tremendous job of recognizing formations and attacking the formations that you like to use. And so, we need to be sound. We need to understand what they're trying to do. They're athletic. They've got an extremely athletic defensive line. They knock balls down at the line of scrimmage. The two interior defensive tackles, I think, have 17 and a half sacks between them. So they can pressure the quarterback. And then with the multitude of coverages they have in the back end, the athleticism that they have, they pose a lot of challenges. They've got active linebackers. Boulware is extremely smart, heady football player with a high football IQ. He diagnoses things quickly. Does a really good job of blitzing when he's on a running back, and they try to create those matchups. So, we've got our work cut out for us. We're going to have to play good football Monday night. I'll be on the field. One more. I'm going to follow up on that. That's what I'm comfortable. I've always called plays from the field. I'm comfortable there. I think it's important for me to have the one-on-one contact with Jalen on the field and seeing his demeanor and really talking through things. I think that I always appreciated that as a player when I was playing. Norm Chow was my offensive coordinator. My first game in college, I remember at BYU, Norm was in the box, and we were having dialogue, and things didn't always get conveyed the right way. It's the old telephone game. And so after that, he came on the field, and I appreciated that one-on-one interaction where we were exactly on the same page. And so that's what I'm comfortable doing. I just think it's the right thing to do, especially in the short-term situation that we're in. Well, I think for me that the biggest thing was, like we touched on, is that I really found out I love this game, and I've been doing it a long time as a player, then as a coach. Um, it was, when you're not around it, when you're not in the locker room, when you're not showing up, going to work every day, when you're not in spring ball, when you're not in the little kids summer camp in June, when you're not in training camp and you're not planning for training camp, those are things I dearly missed. And this season, being in the role that I was in, I wasn't able to be on the field coaching and doing those things that I love to do. So I think more than anything, it really gave me a point of reference that, I love coaching football. I love being around these players, these coaches. I love the preparation. I love the schematics. I love the emotion of the game. And to have this opportunity again, I'm very grateful for.
And how are you doing now? I mean,
Life is good. Life is good. Like I said, I'm grateful to Coach Saban and the University of Alabama and the family that we have here, the support that they've given me and the trust that they've given me in this situation to go out and do what I love to do.
at what point during that 11-month stretch do you think you've had things turned around personally?
It's a process. Everything's a process in what we do. The reality of it is, I'm at this point today, and I'm at this point today with a tremendous opportunity. And for me, guys, I don't want to take away from what this really is about. This is about our team. This is about our players. This is about the job and the situation that they've put themselves in to go out and win a national championship, and to do it for a second consecutive year would be an amazing accomplishment. And that's what my focus is.
Specifically, how are you handling this substance abuse issue?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you asking. Yeah. It came from Coach Saban directly a week ago, and my reaction was, it's time to get to work. Like I said, I don't have time to. Quite honestly, in this profession, nothing really surprises me, especially my career and the way it's all kind of gone down. Nothing surprises me at this point. So when the news came, I shifted right into coach mode, which is where I'm really probably the most comfortable. And so it was just time to go to work. Like I said, my focus has been on, from the moment I was told, what are we doing from that moment until that ball gets kicked off Monday night, to make sure our players are in the best position to be successful. Yeah, it was the following day. No, it was actually, we flew back into that next day, and then really was the following day was when I actually got information. Yes, sir. That's really probably more for Coach Saban to discuss. Some of the meetings that we have as a staff, some of the meetings that we have with players are best kept, because that's the situation that we're in. And so the reality of it is, things got changed. I was asked to do the job, and I'm going to do the job.
I want to say that Alabama had 23 plays that we against Washington. Jalen didn't have his best day. What have you done in that short amount of time to help correct this?
Well, I think it's, again, putting together a game plan that is conducive to the strengths of the players on our team, practicing those issues that could come up, and Clemson obviously poses a lot of issues defensively, and then developing the confidence that within the players and the coaches that this is the plan, we can go out and execute the plan, we can do it fast, we can do it physical, and go out and play. And so that comes with preparation, that comes with being diligent in our work, that comes with, obviously, like you would every week, looking at the defense. What are their strengths? What are their, perceived weaknesses? How can we attack them? And then putting a really clean plan together so that these guys can go out and play at a high level.
You said that you've exhausted yourself in preparation. Can you give more specifics as to just how long you've been staying awake? What specifically you've been doing to get ready?
I just feel like my thing is, when I put my head down at night this week, I want to make sure that we've covered the things that we're capable of covering. You're not going to tackle every single thing every single day. So it's being mindful of what we're trying to get done the following day, and making sure that we're covering those things that evening, so that when the morning comes, we know, hey, this is what we did last night. We can revisit it, and now it's time to get the players ready for practice.
In the analyst job, the opportunity come up. How were you contacted or contacted?
One second, we got a question here, and I'll get to you. The analyst job came up. I was planning on doing TV this fall. And I just had never had an August in my life that I can remember where I wasn't at training camp. And so I actually went and visited a few places this August and looked at some things and just wanted to see how other people did things. And one of my stops was Alabama. Had a great visit with Lane and with Coach Saban. The talks kind of were in play after that. And when the job opportunity came, I felt like this would have been a good spot for me to come and learn a different way of doing things. I was fortunate to work with Pete Carroll for a lot of years. There's a lot of similarities between Nick Saban and Pete Carroll, but also some differences. And I felt like this would be a good one to take advantage of and to come and see what Lane is doing now offensively. And so, I jumped at the chance. I visited the Atlanta Falcons. Excuse me, I'm scooting up here. Atlanta Falcons, University of Florida, the Tampa Bay Bucks, actually. So just hit a few different spots, and then, when this opportunity came, I felt like it was a good one to try to take advantage of.
You've been amazing. Forgive me if this has been asked, but a couple of players this week have said that practice went faster and smoother. To what do you attribute that?
Well, I mean, in my opinion, you get what you emphasize as a coach. You get what you want to try to get done. I felt like that was something that, we could address, and not trying to recreate the wheel here, but there's certain things you try to focus on and try to get better at, and that was one of them. And I appreciate the players responding to the things that we asked for.
Steve, a lot's been made the last week about the fact that Lane's voice was the only one that Jalen Hurts has heard all season, making a big deal out of that. Is that really a big deal?
Well, it can be if I don't make my voice heard this week. I've been fortunate in my career to have worked with some pretty good quarterbacks and have had some pretty good success working with quarterbacks. And so I just went back to the basics with what I knew and coaching that position and my communication with that position. And I think the response from Jalen has been really good. But ultimately, you'd have to ask him, how he feels about it.
Coach said he was frustrated, or Jalen was frustrated after the Washington game. Is this the first time maybe that he's had to have his confidence repaired this season?
There's been moments. There's been moments where it hasn't been perfect for him, and it's a credit to him. His demeanor is tremendous. You go back to his first play of college football against SC when he fumbles, on the zone read play. So his demeanor is really tremendous for a guy who's a true freshman, and in the environments that he's played in on the road, Ole Miss, LSU, Tennessee, the SEC championship game, a college football semifinal playoff game. So I don't know if repaired is the right word to use, but I think it needed for him to bounce back, and he was in a great frame of mind to do so. He just wanted to get back and get to work as well. And so we were on the same page from that standpoint. Not a whole lot, quite honestly. I'm not allowed to interact with the players that way, so I've just kind of observed from afar, got a read on his demeanor, what he was about, and then tried to play to his strengths as I came into the role and tried to communicate with him in a way that I felt was conducive to him to be responsive to the things that I was saying. I think he knows me now. Yeah. I caught the tail end of that game. I should probably say this. I started watching from the second half on, and I quite honestly, for USC and those players and those coaches and the people there, I couldn't be happier for them and more proud of the work that those players put in. What a great moment. What a great college football game to be part of in that setting. I've had a chance to coach in that game numerous times, and I'm really happy for those players, especially the seniors. Those guys have been through a lot, and to finish their careers the way they did, I couldn't be more happy and more proud of them. Right. I can relate. I could relate to them. They've been through a lot, and there was a lot of expectations on a lot of those players when they arrived, and to finally have that moment to end their career or end their season is something that they'll cherish and will last a lifetime for them. No, I knew I'd coach again. I wasn't worried about that. I knew I'd coach again. It was just a matter of when and where. I missed the beginning. I apologize.
Such limited time in your role getting into the national championship. Do you expect any kind of disruption? Anything not goes through
I'm sure things are going to show up in a way that aren't perfect. That's football. You know, you design plays and they call a different defense than you want. You know, knock on wood, we don't have an injury, but a guy goes down at a position and a backup has to play at that spot. So things are going to come up. That's football. That's part of the game. How we respond to them, how we react to them is probably more important. And that's where our composure, our demeanor as a staff, ultimately as players, as leaders on the team, our response to those things is what's going to be important. So I'm anticipating things happening. How we respond is what's important. We've talked. I don't know if counsel is the right word. We've talked, and like I said, I've got great respect for Lane. He's a friend. He's done a tremendous job, and you know, my job is to help this team go finish something that they set out as a goal months ago, and do the best job that I can do to finish it.
Did he give you any advice on interacting with Saban on the sidelines? Some of them are pretty intense.
Coach is a competitive guy, and you know, I've been fortunate enough to be on the headset. I don't get to speak on game day, but be on the headset and hear some of the interaction. The end of the day, Coach's goal is for our players to play well and for us to play well as a team. And so as long as we're aligned in those same two things, we'll be fine.
Given the recent struggles in the passing game, productive running game, those guys, where do you strike the run-pass balance?
Every game's different. Every game's different when we get into ball games and you play to the flow of the game, how our defense is playing, the things we're doing well, what the defense is giving us and how we're trying to attack. But ultimately, you always want to strive for balance. You know, you strive for balance, but every game's different. And you do what you have to do to win the game, and you do what you need to do to win the game. And, you know, we'll see how the game plays out Monday night.
Has there been any response from Alabama fans? Have you gotten any handwritten letters? Or
I'm sure I have. I'm sure I've gotten things, but, you know, like I said, I've exhausted myself in preparing our players. And it's not about pats on the back. It's not about attaboys or way to go or welcome to the family and all those things. I know we've got great support here. The Crimson Tide family, like I said, has welcomed me with open arms. But my focus has been on the game and these players.
there's only so many hours in a day. What's your start and finish time kind of been this week?
You know, relatively normal. We start at 7:30 every day, and you get done when you need to get done. When you get your work done, you get your work done. I think, again, that's a credit to Coach Saban. It's not about, you know, for me to be the best I can be, it's not about, you know, sleeping 3 hours every night. It's about getting your work done when you get your work done, getting your rest so that you're fresh and in a great frame of mind when we see the players the next day. I don't know. I guess the biggest thing is, did I have a voice in the office? Sure, I had a voice, but you know, ultimately Lane was the decision maker. Those coaches, the position coaches, they were the ones that were in charge of their position. I just tried to offer the advice that I could offer, some of the experiences that I had, expertise that I had at different things. But they were the decision makers. I was just there to offer some advice.
It's been a number of years, Steve, since
Hey, how you
were
doing?
not the head guy of the football team. Is it kind of a little bit unusual feeling, almost like 10 years ago when you were USC?
A little bit because of, you know, when I was there, you know, Coach Carroll was such a tremendous head coach, and you wanted to learn, you wanted to take in all of the knowledge and information that he had. And I feel like that's the same scenario that we're in today. Coach Saban's an amazing head football coach, and that's part of the reason I chose to come to do this analyst job that I did. That's part of the reason I chose to stay as the coordinator here, is to continue to take in so much of the knowledge and expertise that he has as a head coach. In coaching world, I'm still very young. You know, 42 years old, I'm very young, and I believe I'll be a head coach again. And so this experience that I have here with Coach Saban is one that I'm just trying to take in as much as I can take in.
What's an example of something you picked up from watching Nick operate?
You know, the process, and I know sometimes that is thrown around a little loosely, but There is one, and it is true, and it does hold true. And even this week, we've got a routine, we've got a plan in which we do things, and we're sticking to it. And the players understand it; they're locked into it, and that's just one little nugget. Here you are. Here's a guy who's coached in how many national championship games. He knows exactly what we need to do to get ready to go play this game, and there's not a lot of discussion. This is how we're going to do it, and then you fit your plan off of what he's already had set.
How is that different from the way you ran your program?
Well, I think as a young head coach, when I got started, I took the job at Washington at 34 years old, and coached my first game as a head coach at 35, and so. I can remember back, we weren't perfect. You aren't perfect. You're still trying to find your way as a young head coach. And, that you look back and there's some things I really liked that I did. There was other things that, I probably would have done that different. I don't know. I'd have a tiger at practice when you go down to play LSU like I did. So, I think that what you learn from a guy who's done it for so long is you figure out the way you want to do things. You have belief in what you do, and then you convey that to the players. And when you have belief, that message is received a lot better from the players. And so that's been a good piece of what we've been doing since I've been here. Yes. Yes. Logistics where we would game plan together. Lane would call the plays from the from the press box. I ultimately would send the plays in and call those plays. The majority of it, we were on the same page, and so it was a good feel for what we were doing. And so that's why I think this scenario is pretty good for me, because I have an idea of how Lane calls plays. And so this isn't going to be trying to recreate the wheel. We've got a system in place here, and we're going to do the things that we do well and put our players in the best position to be successful come Monday night. It was more in between series stuff that was talked about, and thank you. It wasn't so much at that moment. It was more in between series or before the play. Hey, I want this type of play or that type of play. Yeah. Just trying to learn, just trying to be a sponge, trying to, we probably experimented, with stuff, maybe sometimes too much, and you look back, I don't know why we ran that or why we did this, but it was a tremendous experience, and I owe a lot to Coach Carroll for giving us that opportunity.
You said earlier you were sure you were going to coach again because of that. Given what you went through, how could you be so sure?
Well, I think when you step away and you realize what you love and it's not there, you realize, okay, what do I need to do to make that happen? And you put in the work to make that happen. And, like I said, I'm young in the coaching profession. I'm still young in the coaching profession. I've been able to accomplish a lot. I've been able to do some really good things in this profession and coach good football teams and build good football programs. Back from Washington to SC, and I look at those teams today and see a lot of those kids that I was able to recruit go on and have really good college careers, win a lot of games, get drafted into the NFL. So, I know what I'm capable of. I'm really, with Coach Saban, looking at it from a different angle because he's got a little bit of a different approach, and I'm thankful for that. That part of it is probably for a different time. Today, this is about what are we doing to win the game Monday night? And my job is to take the experiences that I've had as a coach, put them into 1 week to get our players prepared to play, take a system that we have in place, look at the demeanor and relationships that I have with the players on the team, and, again, put them in the best position to be successful.
What is the parallels between Coach Carroll and Coach Saban? Is there some differences?
Well, they both love defense. I can tell you that. They both love defense. They both take pride in playing great defensive football, and it shows. I've been lucky to call plays on teams that were tremendous defensive football teams, and this team isn't a whole lot different. We play really good defense. We're sound. We're hard. We're tough, and so that part of it. And then they have their own beliefs, and they believe in what they do. They convey it to the team. The team understands it. It becomes them as well. Becomes the characteristics of the team, and we play to those strengths. And so I think that's probably the biggest similarity is they know what they believe in and they coach to what their beliefs are. I think obviously the differences are probably a little more subtle than you'd think. But more importantly, they've got a style in which they want to do things. They've got a mechanism of conveying those messages, and they both do it really, really well.
Now that you've seen Nick up close,
Right. Well, my daily duties previously as an analyst were, we'd still watch a lot of tape, still try to game plan, and then, offer up as much advice as I could to the game plan and then to the coaches. And then it was more sit back and analyze how we were performing. My interaction with the players is probably the biggest thing that's changed, and then ultimately making those final decisions on what do we want to do on third down, what do we want to do in the red zone, what do we want to do with certain personnel groupings, and then the biggest one of them all is going to be calling plays on Monday night. Probably a bigger question for them individually, but so far so good with me. They've been great. The staff has been great. Coach Saban's been tremendous. The players have been really responsive to the things that I've tried to ask of them to do this week. In my opinion, they've given me what I've asked for them to do, and then ultimately now we have to go perform Monday night.
Now that you, I mean, it's got to be somewhat unsettling for you to go have a voice that's your career. What do you do?
Oh, I lean on the experiences that I've had. Like I said, I've coached some pretty good quarterbacks in my day and had great relationships with those guys. So I'm not trying to come in and be overbearing. It's about developing a relationship. It's about having some quality one-on-one time. It's about him understanding my personality and making him feel good about the game plan that we have. And I think that process has gone really well. I think Jalen ultimately is going to be the one to answer that question when you ask him, and then ultimately our performance Monday night will hopefully speak for itself. I need him to be him. I need Jalen to be him. And like I said, I think Jalen, for an 18-year-old true freshman, has amazing composure. I liken it. I go back again. I was watching this game on TV, but that first play against SC when he fumbles the ball, his first college football play, and he comes right back in and leads him down for a touchdown the next drive, I think speaks for itself. That guy's got amazing composure for an 18-year-old, so he's going to need that composure Monday night. It's not going to be perfect. No game ever is, and considering the environment, his composure is going to be critical. That there is a plan in place, there is structure, and you stick to it, and you believe in it, you trust it, and then you keep moving forward.
now that you've seen Nick,
Well, I'll get you on the next one. I have, that's for you guys to have an opinion on, not me.
now that you've seen Nick up close, have you kind of unlocked the secret that seems to separate him from everybody else in the profession?
No, I haven't. I think Coach is a tremendous head football coach. I think he's got a plan. He's organized. He coaches his coaches. He coaches the players. He motivates the players. He's got great demeanor about himself, never too high, never too low. He's got really good focus, and then he conveys that to the rest of the staff and the team, and I think that is unique.
Wouldn't you like to see you do that too?
That's what we all strive for, and then I think that's why this is a great experience for me to see it firsthand from him.
So after going through something so public last year, and you go through a process differently in an own way, did it force you to alter your own priorities, or how do you, what do you value?
I don't know, Bruce, and like I said earlier, I think that's for another discussion. So this isn't about me as much as it can be because of what's transpired over the last week. This really isn't about me, so I think that's for another time. My focus today is on our team and on these players. They deserve the best Steve Sarkisian this week. They deserve the best Steve Sarkisian Monday night because of the time and effort that they've put in to get themselves to this point. And so that's really where my focus is right now. No, and I understand the question. I'm not trying to discount that. But I just feel like, to answer questions about me wouldn't be fair to them right now. Yes, yes. I've been with them for 4 months. This isn't like I flew in on a plane and I just took over this week. I've been here for 4 months. I've worked with Lane hand in hand. And like I said, he's done a tremendous job here for 3 years. He did a tremendous job this season with a true freshman quarterback, a really good job of coaching football. So, there, I've been in those meetings. I've been on the headsets and heard him call plays. And so there wasn't, we've had some discussions, which is, more for, private discussions. But I've been able to see it firsthand. So there wasn't as many questions as if I had just flown in for this week and had to call plays. 1 second. No, I think I have to call them the way I would call them, because if not, it just wouldn't fit right. It wouldn't feel right. There wouldn't be the flow to the game. So we'll have a good rhythm, a good flow in the game. We have to create that on our own through execution, through our game planning, and then through the changes and things that we have to make throughout the ball game. But ultimately, I've got to call what I feel. I can't try to call it the way somebody else would, or it would never come off right. I think it's been really good. They've been supportive. They've coached their players the way I would have expected them to coach them, the way they coached them all year. We've had good dialogue. We've had a good game plan. We've had to make some changes throughout the week like you would in any other week. And those guys have been really good in supporting the move and onward and upward. Well, I think so much with Coach Saban. One of the things that I've learned is he's a really good person, and as much as we see him up in front of you guys, and his demeanor on the sidelines, the focus, the laser focus that he has. He's a good person. He recognizes coaches when he sees them. He's willing to work with people, and I think, to me, I'm very grateful and thankful that he thought that much of me to be able to put me in this position to do the job that I believe I'm capable of doing. Sorry. Well, probably the 2009 Rose Bowl. We were playing Penn State. I had already taken the head job at Washington, and Coach Carroll was still getting after me during that game in the Rose Bowl. So I was thinking to myself, I'm a head coach too now, but not in that game. I wasn't. I don't know. Sanchez was probably doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing, but. Because even as a head coach, Ivan, I was calling plays. I'm used to game planning. I'm used to being very involved in the offense. I was very hands-on head coach, a lot like Coach Saban, where even an individual I would coach as a head coach. And so this wasn't where I took a CEO approach when I was a head coach. I was very involved. I called plays. And so, like I said, and even this season, I've been on the headset. I've heard the rhythm of the offense and how the substitution patterns go and those types of things. And so, I really feel like there's going to be some moments. I'm not naive to think that it's not just we're going to have a couple glitches, but like I said, how we respond to those glitches is going to be key. No, because like I said, because of the 4 months, this past 4 months being around it.
Steve, you talked about being fluent in the language. Are you fluent in the language? And can you repeat that in 40 seconds between plays that you're going to have? Is that
I actually think being a no-huddle team is helpful because you don't have time to overthink it, to overanalyze it. You got to get on to the next one. And a credit to Coach, in our practices, we have periods where it's not scripted, where you have to call it in practice. So Monday night won't be the first time that I have to do it. I've been doing it all week. I don't know if it was being a fit or not, but I will say my first stop was Atlanta, and it took one practice. As soon as I got out on that field with Dan Quinn and that staff, I knew this is where I need to be. This is where I want to be. This is what I love doing. Football's in my blood, And I knew right away that, man, I love being around it. I don't know if I want to be wearing a suit and tie sitting in a booth calling a game. I love being on the field. I don't know if doubt is the right word. I was always intrigued, thinking, man, being part of the media, the game ends and you don't win, you don't lose, and you just kind of move on to the next one. I was kind of envious of you guys. But when I got back on the field, I realized this is what I love to do. We'd had dialogue, we'd had phone conversations. We had done actually a couple of game day shows, in studio shows together, but not a true relationship that way. But we did interact some, yes.
Did he have to sell to Did he have to sell to you the job, or did you have to sell to him that you're ready to get back?
I don't know if it was selling either way. It was just making sure it was a good scenario for everybody involved. As much as, I was coming to offer some expertise and advice and to help the offense, I wanted it to be clear to him that I was coming to learn from him too, that this was going to be somewhat of a two-way street, and that's exactly what it was. I couldn't have asked for a better experience than in the previous 4 months in the analyst role, and I think that's actually probably helped the most transitioning into being the coordinator and calling plays Monday night. From a time frame, I don't know. It didn't take very long. I appreciated his approach to things. I appreciated how he motivated the players, how he coached the coaches, and so it didn't take long. Just really probably the time management of it all, getting back into scripting practice, getting back into ultimately making decisions. Like I said, when you're an analyst, you can offer up advice for plays in certain situations and certain scenarios in the game. As a coordinator, you make the final call. And so just transitioning back into that, I don't know if difficult is the right word, but that's probably been the biggest change. Do I have one? I don't know. Like I said, my focus has been on the game, and it really hasn't been on what next year is going to look like or next spring or any of those things. When Coach said this is what the direction we were going to go in, I shifted right to what do we need to do this week to ensure our players in the best position to be successful Monday night. Quite honestly, no. And that wasn't my intentions when I came. My intentions were to learn, to come in and be part of a really good program, a successful program, to be around, Lane, who had done so well, who had transitioned some offensively to where he was years ago, to what they were doing and what they were planning on doing, what I saw in training camp, what they were doing. And so the whole experience to me was about coming and learning, offering up some things that I could offer. And then when this thing became a reality, making a decision for myself, is this what I want to do moving forward? And when that decision was made, I was in with 2 feet and away we went.
This is unprecedented, as far as I can't think of any situation in any sport where this has happened. What does it say about Nick that nobody's really questioned the fact that he has changed or hasn't?
I think so many times with Coach, we give him too much of a conservative approach at times. I don't, but I think sometimes the perception of him is that, when actually he really is an aggressive mannered coach. He'll do things aggressively. He likes to play the game aggressively. He likes to coach aggressively. And I think this is just another example of that. However all this played out, at the end of the day, he was willing to go with this move, and he entrusted in me, the faith in me to go do it. And like I said, I'm humbled, I'm honored that he did, and away we go.
Steve, when a team loses, you can't wait to get out on the field the next time. So your last game calling plays was that Washington game?
Actually, Clay was calling it at that point.
Clay was calling that?
Yeah, Clay called that season, those 5 games that season that I was there.
So it goes back. So your last time you called plays in a game was
The Holiday Bowl against Nebraska.
Steve, before you went to go visit those teams in the Falcons,
Yes.
how were you spending your time at that time?
Still studying the game. I'd actually spent a little bit of time with John Gruden, and he stepped out of the game and as a true coach, and there was some, just how do you go about, what do you do? And so you develop a routine, you still study film, you're still looking at the NFL, you're looking at old cut-ups. Like I said, I knew I was going to coach again. I just wanted to be prepared when that moment came. And so I stayed involved in studying the game and working at the game.
Were you still in LA?
Yes.
Were you still seek getting help at that point?
Like, there's been some other questions. I don't mean to be rude about it, but I think that topic, that discussion is for another time. I don't want to lose focus in sight of this isn't really about me from a personal standpoint. This is about our players and our team and the work that they've put in to get to this point. And my job is to be the best Steve Sarkisian this week, to put these guys in position to go out and achieve something that they've worked extremely hard for months. And that's where my focus is right now.
You can't say if you're still getting help or if you have a
That's for another discussion.
So much more heat when you got the role and it was very open. Whereas at practice, you guys were, everybody in the assistants. This is obviously a different side. Not asking what to do better or worse.
Right.
But how has seeing it from the other side maybe shaped you now in the last 4 months? Maybe refocused you?
Well, I think what it's done, Bruce, is like I was saying earlier, as much as Pete and Coach Saban are different in that Coach Carroll had media and fans at practice, Coach Saban, the media's there for 15 minutes and there are no fans at practice, they're the same in that they have a belief. This is what they believe in. This is how they want it to go. This is what they envision. And then they coach and they motivate to those beliefs. And so it's different, but it's the same. What it's done for me is it gave me a perspective of when you believe in something and you do it that way and you coach to those things, regardless. Here's two totally different ways of doing things. When you do it that way and everybody in the building, players, coaches, staff, understand what those beliefs are and what the culture is, everybody gets on board. And I think that's been the biggest thing for me is reinforcing when you've got beliefs, that's the best way to attack things. Well, I don't know. I don't know how many interviews analysts do at other places, so that one was hard for me to answer.
Coach, after Jalen threw a season-low in yards in the Peach Bowl, what did you work on all week with him to get him ready for this moment on a short week?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, like I said, trying to put together a game plan that is conducive to his strengths, that is conducive to the strengths of the players on our team, the schemes on our team, and then coaching him, and trying to put him in position to be successful so that come Monday night he can play fast, he can play confident, he can make really good decisions and throw the ball accurately on time, make the proper checks and do all those things that are needed in a big game and not get caught up in the moment. I don't know. I don't remember facing a team that the two defensive tackles combined have, 17 and a half sacks. So I don't know if excited is the right word, but motivated. It's a great challenge. Coach Venables is a tremendous defensive coordinator. They're an athletic, fast defense. They do a lot. So it's a great challenge. Yes, I did. I was at home. Oh, of course. We, you look at a lot of film in a game like this, and that game was definitely one of the games we looked at.
Players have said from changing over from team to team, there have been some changes. It's been a smooth transition, but some changes. What are those changes that you saw yourself changing on now?
Without getting into particulars from a schematic standpoint, I just think more than anything is I just tried to be me. I tried to be upbeat, tried to be positive, tried to get us to play with good tempo, good energy at practice. Where those changes are exactly, that's I guess that's in the eye of the person that's viewing it. So I didn't go in specifically saying I'm going to do this differently than they were done before. I just went in doing what I believe in. Some of those things were natural changes. Some of those things were more subtle changes. But it wasn't going in trying to be different. It was going in trying to do the best I could do to put our players in the best position to be successful. Oh, man, I'm so grateful, so thankful, so humbled, to be at the University of Alabama. Coach Saban, the staff, the family here has been unbelievable support and just welcoming me in and trusting me to do this. And, just humbled and honored that I get this opportunity. And like I said, so that just transitioned. I just want to do the best job I can do. I want to put our players in a really good situation so that they can have the success they deserve. They've worked so hard to get to this point. I just want those guys to go out and do the things that I know they're capable of doing in a great setting for college football. And to be part of this is very humbling. I just watched it at home. I was happy for Lane. It was a great offensive game plan a year ago. They made some really good adjustments at halftime. It was an extremely exciting game, and it was one of those games that you get a little white-knuckled because when you don't have control of it as a coach, you want control when you watch games on TV. That's probably the hardest part. But it was a great game to watch. Deshaun Watson, Clemson played a fantastic game. Coach Sweeney had them ready to go, and Coach Saban, the onside kick, there were so many plays in that game that were so exciting as a fan, which is really what I was at that moment, was great. And that to me is why I love football. I'm a fan of college football as much as I am a coach. I love the game, and that's how I watched the Rose Bowl the other night, that second half. As much as I was pulling for SC and pulling for those players and those coaches, what an exciting game. Penn State looked like they touched the ball and they scored a touchdown in the second half. It was amazing. And then for Sam Darnold to fight his way back in that game, and then for Matt Bormeister to make that kick there at the end. That's college football, and that's what I love, and that's kind of how I watched the game a year ago. Yeah, no, for sure. That part never goes away. That coaching aspect never changes. That always remains the same. You still are looking for those subtleties. You're looking at things, and you're I wish they would do this, or that's a great call here or there. So you just get involved in the game, and the emotions are still high, even when you're sitting on a couch. Probably not. No, especially not 4 months ago when I was thinking I was going to do TV, but. Like I said, you get put in a position and you got to go. You don't have time to think about the what ifs or what other people think. You just dive right in and you get going.
Coach, Calvin Ridley's kind of been a non-factor the last 2 games. How do you hope to get him involved in here? And what are kind of the players who've been in the preparation field this past year?
Well, I think the players have been really locked in and focused. Like I said, they've worked a lot and hard to get to this point, and this week has been no difference. Calvin's been the same. My job is to get our playmakers the ball, and we've got a lot of them on offense. And so Clemson's going to present things to us. They're going to push us in a direction one way or another of who's going to get those balls, run game, pass game, and I'd be remiss not to try to get Calvin Ridley the ball. He's a heck of a talent. He's a heck of a player. Well, I've been fortunate in my career. I've coached a variety of different quarterbacks. When you go back to Carson Palmer, Matt Leinart, John David Booty, Mark Sanchez, those guys were more pocket type passers. Even Cody Kessler. At Washington, I had Jake Locker. I inherited Jake Locker, who was.
5 minutes remaining in the Alabama media session. 5 minutes remaining. Fans, make sure to check out all the great content.
Sorry, guys.
on
I
our
apologize.
Facebook Live booth by liking the official Facebook page of the College Football Playoff. You can find fun interviews with student athletes from Alabama and Clemson, as well as members of the media.
Jake Locker, when I went to Washington, they were a spread team. He was a zone read running quarterback, and so I had to kind of mold my offense with what they had done to fit that, and then Keith Price. And so this isn't too foreign to me. I've been down this road. I think it's a kind of a natural fit, quite honestly. Those guys, they got too much time on their hands to go online and look stuff up. But, what I will say this is when I played, I loved playing. I loved the game. I loved playing. I was probably a little emotional when I played because I loved playing. And I don't have a problem with the players enjoying playing either, and that's how I coach. And so hopefully that resonates with him, that we get a chance to go play in this game Monday night and that we get to enjoy the experience.
What's different about a Nick Saban system? You had a chance to coach a lot of legendary coaches. What's different about Nick Saban?
I don't know if it's so much different. I think good coaches have beliefs in what they believe in what they think is important to the success of the team, and coach is no different. You know, he's got a belief, he's got a structure in place that he believes in, and he gets the people in his organization to buy into what those beliefs are. He motivates them towards those beliefs, and then you go out and you have to execute those things. And I think that's more than anything is his consistency rather than what's different. He's consistent in his approach to what we do. Sure, I knew what to expect. I knew what the week was going to look like. I knew what practice was going to be. I knew the time frames of meeting schedules. It wasn't going to be something brand new. We were going to stick to what we do. One sec, Ivan, I'll get you. I missed the beginning. I apologize.
You see from afar, when you're watching, you see Alabama from afar as the defense that they play. I mean, obviously, Nick has great players year after year. Is there anything that stands out? Anything they do philosophically, defensively, why they just always seem to be?
Well, I think they coach really well. You know, I think that they don't have limitations. They play the run, they play the pass, they pressure the quarterback. They get after the football. They're a complete defense, but he coaches a complete defense. We are not one-dimensional, and I think that's what makes us unique. I will say I've really enjoyed the game day atmosphere, Ivan, in the SEC. You know, having a chance to play at Bryant-Denny Stadium has been tremendous, you know, to enjoy that. But to go to LSU, to go to Ole Miss, to go to Tennessee, those have been fantastic experiences for me. And the fans, the pageantry of college football in the SEC is something that I've really appreciated.
You've always been good with the media. You enjoy this role. Were you nervous having to do this today, or when you had to do this?
No, I wasn't. Yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys. Quite honestly, I missed you guys. So, you know, it wasn't. I knew what this was going to be about. You know, I'm not foreign to it. I know what you have an idea of what the types of questions are going to be. You know, you just be honest and forthright, and you focus on the things that I think are important for this game. And the focus is on the game and on our players. And it shouldn't be about me. I'm just here to do this job the best I can do it for this week.
Remaining in the Alabama media session. 1 minute remaining. Fans, don't forget to pick up your free playoff Fan Central ticket upon exiting Amalie Arena.
Again, that's not a comparison for me to make. That's your guys' job. That's what you guys get paid to do. I almost did that, but I decided to get back in this seat instead of being out there with you. But two great teams, two great programs, two great head coaches that obviously two of the best ever in college football. Well, hopefully, like I said, that we can utilize all of the weapons that we have on offense. OJ happens to be one of them. We've got great wide receivers. We've got good running backs. And so for us to be the best we can be Monday night, it's utilizing all those pieces that on this offense to get them involved. Well, they're a little bit different this year. So, we just got to try to take advantage of the teams and the schemes that they have so that we can be the best we can be. All righty, guys. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it. All righty. Simon, great to see you.
Central ticket upon exiting Amalie Arena. Playoff Fan Central, located behind or at the Tampa Convention Center, is a fun-filled family event with interactive games, sponsor activities, special guest appearances, and exhibits celebrating college football.